that you have when the most amount of people are the most bullish that this coin is going to go up the most in value in the future. Okay? When you sell something at the end of the bull run, you're not selling it because you think and the broader market thinks that the bull market's going to end. You're selling it to people who believe that the bull market has just begun, that prices are destined to go much higher, that this is a new paradigm and that buying here is a smart decision. And you're going to agree with them. And you're going to have to do something which is completely against what you feel like doing. But that's just how markets work. And there's no analysis of the team or the community which is going to teach you how to sell at this point in time. That is why we view the difference between the perception versus the reality in order to determine the actual fundamental value of the asset that we're looking to buy. The team is only so important when a bear market strikes and everything goes down 90%. Okay? So when you know when something is mispriced, whether it's undervalued or overvalued, underowned or overowned, that gives you the power to make money regardless of what coin you buy. And it gives you the power to bring your ability to make profit into your hands. You no longer rely on a team, a community, a coin, or anyone to make you money, because you're able to now derive alpha from the market simply by understanding when something is mispriced. Okay? So what questions do you have to ask yourself to determine the perception versus reality of a certain coin? Well, here's some questions that I don't necessarily ask myself these questions, but just to give you an idea, this is what you could ask yourself. Is the coin under or overperforming the benchmark return of its sector? So for example, right, all these coins are doing this, right? This is the DeFi coins, this is the NFTs, this is the gaming, this is the social finance, this is the fucking exchange tokens, and then there's your coin here, right? Underperforming. So you ask yourself, is the coin underperforming the benchmark return of its sector plus the broader market? If your coin is massively underowned, sometimes this means it's going to continue to stay like this, continue to stay underperforming. But sometimes this just means that this sector is underowned, it's mispriced, and it should be making a return at some point. Okay? And you only figure that out by looking at the project specifically. If it's a shit project, it's going to stay here. If it's a good project, then it's probably going to play catch up. Okay? So that's one way you can look at things. Another way is, what is the sentiment in the coin's community forums? Is this coin really hated on? Is the community afraid? Is the community selling the bottom? Are people angry? Etc., etc. Right? If the community is scared, then that is a reflection of the sentiment of the holders. And think about it, if the community is really fucking scared, that means that all the people who are scared are going to sell. Once these people have sold, who is left to sell? Right? You sell at the point when your fear hits a threshold where you can't take it anymore. You don't sell when, oh, I was more scared yesterday and I'm less scared today, I'm going to sell today. No. You sell at the point where the fear was high enough that you needed to sell. If you felt like selling yesterday and you feel less like selling today, I doubt you sell today. You would have sold yesterday if you were going to. Okay? If you make it past the peak or the trough of the worst of that particular time, it's very unlikely that you do anything if that was the worst or the best that you'd ever feel. If that makes sense, okay? So, what point were we on? What is the sentiment in the coins community forums? So if you see everyone in the forum is super, super bearish, right? And let's say it's at this point, right? The point of most fear. This is the last point that people are going to sell, because the sentiment's only going to get better. People are only going to be buying or holding, okay? And that's when you want to be buying into that coin, right? Every coin goes through periods where the community's tested. Remember Solana, like I just told you about. It died, right? Everyone thought it was over. It tested the conviction of its holders massively, and they pushed through. If you wanted to buy Solana, you just had to wait for everyone for the sentiment to be fucking terrible. What is the sentiment of the coin on social media? So is everyone talking about it positively? Is everyone shitting on it? Does it seem like an obvious coin to buy right now? If it seems obvious, it's probably not worth buying. Is there a future catalyst that the market is mispricing? So if you're looking at a coin and you see it's not performing very well, but you see that it has a big thing coming out in 2 months, then you should be thinking to yourself, maybe this asset's underpriced. Do people not see that this thing's coming out in 2 months? Right? Like, they're missing something, right? Are whale wallets accumulating or distributing? So you can look at the on-chain data if you want. I don't really do it, but you can if you want to. And you can see, what are the large wallets doing? Are the large wallets adding more, or are they taking away? And also, how do you feel about the coin? Do you really feel like buying? Do you really feel like selling? What do you feel like doing with this coin? Because you can tell a lot about where the coin is in its sentiment cycle based on how you feel about it. Because your feelings are a reflection of your monkey side. It's a reflection of the side of you that you should not listen to. So what you need to do is, at times, you just need to listen to yourself. What do I feel about this coin? Do I really want to buy it right now? If you do, 9 times out of 10, that's your emotion speaking, not your intuition. You need to do the opposite of that. So you need to be not buying. A multi-bagger is nothing but the journey of stock from a point where no one wants it to a point where everyone wants it. In crypto, this is literally the game everyone is playing, one way or another. From no one wants to buy to everyone wants to buy. Some do this by finding TARDFI valuation metrics. Some speculate on emotion. Some in narratives. Whatever you do, don't buy things that everyone wants. Again, this relates back to the concept of perception versus reality. If everyone wants a coin, if everyone's bullish on a project, if it seems like an obvious buy on Twitter, everyone perceives this coin as having a lot of value, it's very likely the reality of that coin's value is actually a lot lower. And that relates back to this point. There's no actual fundamentals. It's just what people think something is worth down the road. If everyone thinks that it will be worth a lot in the future, then that perceived price has already happened. That price performance has already happened. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Now let me see if I've got anything else here. Here's another example of the concept of mispriced, right? Bitcoin at 45K still feels mispriced. How does he determine the mispricing? Well, basically, he's done a bunch of fundamental analysis on what he considers the backdrop right now. And he's basically gone and said, because of these reasons, I think that Bitcoin is lower than what it should be. I think if everyone in the market understood what I just explained here, that the price would be higher than it is right now. That's basically what he's saying. If everyone understood what I just said, then the price would be higher. Because you can basically look at a combination of data, a combination of your thesis, and you can analyze it and you can go, okay, does the current price reflect the market understanding this? So for example, Toshi had a $2.5 million market cap, right? Let's load it up. Let's use this example of mispricing with Toshi. Okay, so at one point it was way down here, right? And I made a video, I talked about it a lot of times. Okay, just bear with me. And I made a video saying, okay, Coinbase wins the bull run. And they send all the users to Base. And there's no Base token. There probably won't be. And Toshi is the face of Base. And it's a meme coin, and the meme coins always perform best. And Toshi has a $2.5 million market cap. And Doge and SHIB have multiple billion-dollar market caps. And all the competitor meme coins, which have, to be honest, way less upside in my opinion, have market caps in the hundreds of millions. And Bonk has a market cap much higher than Toshi. And Base is probably going to get similar users to Solana this bull run. So do I think the market is pricing in what I just explained with Toshi being worth $2.5 million market cap. No, I don't think that. In fact, I so thought that the market was mispricing Toshi that I bought 0.5% of the entire supply, which is now worth 200k or more. I think, yeah, definitely worth more than 200k. And I haven't even sold any yet. Now, maybe I look back on this and it goes to 0 and I'm like, what a retard. But that I haven't sold any yet. Okay? Right? Because I think that Toshi's still mispriced. I think that Toshi should be worth $1 billion market cap. Not now, but when we get inflows from Coinbase, I think Toshi can easily go to $1 billion market cap. Bonk went to $1 billion market cap with the existing crypto users. How much higher is Toshi going to go when we get new people coming in who have zero idea about the value of something? So that's just to explain to you how I would view perception versus reality, and how other people use data and information in their own thinking to determine if an asset is mispriced. Okay? Based on this information, should this coin be worth more or less or the same? Okay, that's sort of the question that you ask yourself. Now, is there any more posts? I think that's it. Let's have a look. There's a thread here about Degen Spartan. He loves coin as a stock and it's performed really well, and his thesis is Brian is bold. And I don't know if I'll get into this, to be honest, but basically, just to give a really brief summary here. His thesis is that Brian is bold. And the reason that this thesis works is because he's got lots of experience, but also good speculation and understanding fear and greed is a point of alpha once you understand all the underlying dynamics. Your thesis of number to go up is elementary to Brian is bold for that reason. But anyway, basically what he's trying to say is that when you're doing even fundamental analysis, being able to understand fear and greed is fundamental analysis. Because things are valued in crypto based off what people think they're going to be worth in future. Not what something is actually worth, but what they think it's going to be worth. That's the important difference. Stocks are valued obviously based off of what they're going to probably do in the future. But a lot of the value is determined by its actual underlying worth right now. Right? What is this thing worth right now? But with crypto, it's more about what could this thing achieve. And an asset will go up when people all believe that this thing could do more than what they thought before. And that understanding of when the market is really afraid and think the coin isn't going to do anything, and understanding when the market is super bullish and they think it's going to change the world, being able to recognize that is alpha. That is fundamental analysis. Because that is the value of the coin. That's how you measure it, based on what people think is going to happen. Okay, so that's the end of this video. A bit more of a philosophical one, I think this one was. But yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.